Hey guys, and welcome back to the Chronically Ill Diaries podcast. I'm your host Jane, and today I have some answers to the questions that you guys have been asking. One of the big ones was drain pain. What is it? How can I get rid of it? What can I do about it? And again, I am not a medical professional, but I did go through this experience myself, and hopefully I can give some tips and just some insight on what drain pain is and how I was able to navigate through that for 5 years. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. So the main question that I get is, how do I get rid of drain pain and why does it happen? One of the main causes of drain pain is when the catheter is pulling out the last bit of fluid and the catheter inside is suctioning too hard against the peritoneal wall, or it could be going against an organ. For me, I noticed that sometimes when the cycler was pulling out the last little bit of fluid, the catheter would rest against an organ and cause a lot of pain. That's not necessarily the drain pain, but that catheter inside of you is what causes drain pain and other pain throughout the day or discomfort. There'd be so many times I didn't have any fluid inside of me, and I would just be at work or running errands, and I would get shooting pains in my lower abdomen because my catheter was rubbing against my bladder or something close to that area inside of my peritoneal cavity, and it would cause a lot of pain. Most of the time, I assumed that it was my bladder because anytime I had to go to the bathroom really bad or something like that, I just noticed that that's when I would get the pain, is if I ever had to pee. Again, when you're on dialysis, you don't necessarily have to go to the bathroom that often. So I would sometimes not go for a long time and some pee would build up in my bladder, and then suddenly I would get a pain and be like, okay, I think that's my body telling me I need to go to the bathroom now and get rid of this, so the catheter stops rubbing against that area. Sometimes when the cycler's done and the catheter is done moving around in there, it might settle in a strange spot and actually cause a lot of pain because of just where it decided to settle inside of your body. I always hated when that would happen because a lot of times it would just settle in a weird spot where I would just constantly feel this weird pain in my lower abdomen, and it just wouldn't go away for a long time. And that was something that was really frustrating for me. But what can you do? You can't move the catheter inside of you. You can't pull on the tube that's on your belly and hope that it moves the catheter inside. This thing is really long and you have no way to access it. Another cause of drain pain would be specifically if you were using any form of the cyclers. A lot of times the cycler would keep trying to pull out excess fluid even though there is no fluid left to pull. The main times this would happen would be right in the beginning before you even start the treatment. Typically, you connect to the machine and the first thing it wants to do once you press start is to drain. A lot of people don't have fluid in their body throughout the day, so you're draining an empty area. So doing that, you will instantly feel that drain pain, like a cramp in your stomach, in your lower abdomen, and right away you'll feel the drain pain. In that moment, that's when I would do a couple of things to try and help with the pain that I will get to shortly. However, a lot of other times that the drain pain would happen would be during the cycle. So typically for me, I think for the majority of my dialysis time, it was like 4 drains, 4 fills throughout the night. And mind you, throughout the night, I start the cycler when I am going to bed and falling asleep. And when I wake up, it's done. Those drains and refills and the pain is happening while I'm supposed to be asleep. Sometimes I would sleep through the drains, and a lot of times I wouldn't, and was the culprit of why I was tired and exhausted almost every day because I never slept through the night for years, except for a couple days here and there. So basically what would happen is you would drain, and you have the ability to skip a drain in the beginning, but sometimes that little cycler wouldn't let you skip. So if it wouldn't let you skip, you would just be sitting there in pain until the cycler felt like your body had enough of the fluid pulled out, even if there was nothing in there to begin with. So if you're able to click next or skip drain or something of that nature, it would say something like that, then do it. And that way you can just move on to the fill and start your treatment. However, when you couldn't do that, I would usually get a heating pad and I would put that on my belly before I even started, make sure it was warmed up and my stomach was warmed up, and then I would start the drain process. Even if I didn't know if it was going to hurt or not, I did that almost every single night, like the whole time, because that was like the only thing that would help me not feel as much pain. Think of it like if you're on your period and you use a heating pad for cramps. That was basically what it was, except it was just a constant cramp for like 30 seconds to a minute, which isn't that long. But if you felt drain pain before and you know how intense it can get, then you know that the heating pad is a great idea, honestly. I wouldn't suggest taking any pain meds. However, I'm not going to lie, there were a time or two where I would, and it did help, and sometimes it didn't. It honestly was just a hit or miss depending on how hard that machine wanted to pull that fluid that wasn't there out of my body. Another type of drain pain would be if you're doing manuals, which typically some people choose to stay on manuals before and not get on the cycler, and a lot of people just have to do manuals for a little bit before they start the cycler just to train your peritoneal cavity on your own, and to also have time to train you as well, so you are aware of how to use manuals if an emergency would ever happen and stuff like that. So basically with the manuals, right when you start to feel the drain pain in your body, you have full 100% control when you can stop it and cut the pain off right away. Side note, I will never forget the first time I felt drain pain. It was in the very, very, very beginning, and I felt that pain just growing as I was doing a manual as my nurse was helping me. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is horrible. What is this pain? Is this what I'm going to feel all the time? She said no, but it continued the entire time. Some people are like that. Some people don't have drain pain the entire time, but some people like me do. So it's okay if you do. You just got to find ways to manage it that help you the best. So going back to the cycler, because to be honest, I barely ever use manuals, only in the very, very beginning, and randomly throughout if I needed to do like an exchange for a test or something that they needed. That would be the only time I ever did a manual. So something one of my nurses did later on in my treatment, because I just could not take the pain anymore. It got to a point around the time where I just wasn't doing well on dialysis anymore. My body wasn't responding well to it. That the drain pain got extremely bad to the point where I felt like I couldn't even do dialysis that night because the pain was just so horrible. And like I mentioned before, sometimes the machine won't let you skip the drain. So I was just sitting there in agony for multiple minutes and I just couldn't take it. And obviously that's not ideal, but when I tell you I was crippling over on the floor crying because it hurt that bad, not to scare you, like this is just what happened to me. It doesn't mean it's going to happen to you, but it was that bad that I was like, I would rather not do it than be in this much pain for no reason. So when that started to be a constant thing, one of my nurses decided that they were going to adjust the settings. Oh my gosh, why didn't we think of that sooner? Adjust the settings on the cycler so the cycler didn't try to pull as much as it was trying to pull. So say it was trying to pull like a liter of fluid out. Obviously, you wouldn't pull a liter of fluid out, but it was trying to pull a liter of fluid out every night. And if it didn't get that liter of fluid out per drain, then it would just keep pulling till it felt like it got a liter out. We would change it to like a ounce so that now it's only trying to pull an ounce instead of a liter, and it would just leave a little bit more fluid inside of my peritoneal, or in the beginning think it's leaving that much, and that way it wouldn't just keep sucking especially if there wasn't something in there to be sucked up. And once that started happening, I did notice that I was left at the end of the night more bloated, obviously, because there was more and more fluid left inside of me. And like, everyone's body's different, but the way your body reacts to having that solution in your body all night kind of left me feeling at the end more puffy more often, because I wasn't getting as much fluid sucked out to where I was completely dry, which is okay, but that was just something that I noticed. However, it got rid of the pain. So pain and be more dry, or no pain and be a little more puffy on some days. I picked that, even though it was frustrating. I don't know about you, but my belly most days looked like I was 6 months pregnant. It just poked out so far because of just fluid in me, the dialysis solution in me. It was just crazy. But then again, it's all about how you feel and about having no pain. So that's something that I really cared a lot about. Another thing that I noticed would help me during the process at night when the cycler is going, a lot of times, oh my gosh, thinking back on this, it's I hate that machine, but that fucking machine would like beep so much, like a freaking fire alarm in the middle of the night, because when it's draining, it can't get any more fluid, because it's like, girl, flip. So if I'm laying on my right side, I tend to sleep on one side the entire night, or however I fall asleep, that's just how I sleep all night. And I always would fall asleep on, like, let's say my left side, and it wouldn't be getting all the fluid out anymore. It needed like that peritoneal to be swashed around to get everything out and everything in and like that. So it would start freaking beeping, which meant it just wanted me to flip to my other side, and then it would stop beeping. So it would beep. I'd have to get up. I'd have to press the button. I have to turn it off, like the beeping. And then I would flip on my other side, and then it would continue as normal, regular scheduled programming, which was so annoying. But if you're able to flip a little bit, especially like in the beginning, if you're feeling pain and just keep moving and getting in different positions, that might help with the first drain coming out and hopefully it making it hurt less. That is the same when throughout the night, if you wake up, oh, I'm feeling a little bit of pain. It's not horrible, but I feel it. Then just flip over and it'll probably alleviate some of that pain, as again, the catheter is just trying to pull that fluid out and it's looking for it. And if you haven't moved in a couple hours, then it really isn't going to move anything in there, and your body or the catheter and machine are just looking for something that might be in a different little pocket of your peritoneal cavity. One last option that my nurse gave me would be to have a last fill. And they offered this before I ended up I had to do it for my treatment and leave in a full, I think it was like 600 bag in my belly all day. But sometimes they would leave like 100 in your belly at the end, which to some people, that doesn't bother them. For me, I was just so small at the time that it made my stomach stick out a lot, and I just didn't like it. I know, like, it shouldn't matter, but I didn't like it. I didn't like looking like I had a belly on me, especially someone that worked out a lot, and I already couldn't gain muscle because my body was just messed up. I didn't want to add not gaining muscle, being super skinny, and having a belly. So I know, something I shouldn't worry about, but if you really don't care about that kind of stuff, you could leave in a tiny bit at the end of your drain and have a little bit of fluid left in, and that way when you do your first drain, it won't hurt because it has a lot to pull from. And that is another solution that they gave me that I chose not to do. So that first drain pain was definitely on me because I chose not to do something that would help me. But you know, everyone has their own wants and needs and choices. So whether you are on your dialysis journey or you're just about to start, I wish you the very best. I hope that if you have been experiencing drain pain, that maybe some of these tips can help you. And I hope if you're starting, you're not too nervous if you're listening to this, and just take these tips and my experiences into consideration. It's always good to also ask your nurses if they have any tips or tricks up their sleeve, because they obviously see so many different people who have so many different experiences when it comes to PD, and hopefully they can also have something that can help you out as well. Dialysis is tough and you don't need to be in pain while doing it. It is something that we really need to advocate for, to make sure that we're not just allowing that machine to beat us up every freaking night. So if you are experiencing drain pain and you try some tips and they still don't work for you, then definitely talk to your nurse about it, and they're able to help you out in some way and alleviate some of that pain. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week, and stay tuned for Friday for a special episode to celebrate the anniversary of this podcast. All right, guys, I hope you have a good one. Love you. Bye.